Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Calum.
And it's not the starting video, but it is the starting step.
So what is it that happens in the starting step?
Mostly, the starting step is where you motivate your troops to stay in the fight. Although in some cases, you also place ambushes and bring reserves onto the table in the starting step. We'll talk about those in a later video. The first thing you do is attempt to remount bailed out tanks. To do this, you have to roll a motivation test for each bailed out tank team, using your remount rating if you have one. My Panzer IV was bailed out and has a motivation rating of 4+. However, it also has protected ammo, giving it a remount rating of 3+, so I use that instead. That means I would have to roll a 3 or more. If I am successful, the tank remounts and it can perform normally this turn. If I'm unsuccessful, the tank remains bailed out, which isn't a good thing because a bailed out team cannot move or fight until they remount.
Your formation headquarters can help with this. If your bailed out tank is within 6 inches or 15 centimeters of the formation commander, now that's the boss of your whole force from your headquarters unit, then you get to re-roll a failed attempt to remount your tank.
Well, as you can see here, I didn't pass my motivation test, but my Panzer is within 15 centimeters of my HQ, so I can have another go at it. And this time, I pass.
So, we've covered step 1 here, and the second step is rallying pinned down troops.
Well, as you may recall, a pinned down unit can't move closer to the enemy, but they can dig in or retreat. If you choose to fire with a pinned down unit, they fire at their moving rate of fire, regardless of whether they moved or not. So to get out of being pinned down, you take a motivation test for the whole unit, using their rally rating if they have a different one.
Does the formation HQ help with this role as well?
Yes, if the formation commander is within 6 inches or 15 centimeters of the unit leader when you fail a rally roll, you can have another attempt at that too.
Okay, so we've remounted our tanks and rallied our pinned down troops. What do we check next?
Well, next you might need to perform a unit last stand test. Basically, this asks the question of whether or not your unit wants to stay and fight in this battle. A last stand test is based around whether or not your unit is in good spirits.
And how do you tell if a unit is in good spirits or not?
Well, a unit is in good spirits if it has at least 2 tank teams, not including bailed out ones if it's a tank unit, 2 gun teams if it's a gun unit, 3 infantry teams if an infantry unit, or 1 aircraft team if an aircraft unit that was left in command distance of your unit leader at the end of the last movement step.
So, if my unit was in command when they finished moving, they stay in command until the next movement step?
Yeah, you don't have to keep checking. As long as you keep them in command when moving, they stay in command.
Okay, so what happens if my unit leader is destroyed?
Well, as we saw in the shooting step videos, if your unit leader is destroyed, you can immediately appoint another team within 6 inches or 15 centimeters as the new unit leader. So it's pretty hard not to have a unit leader. However, if by some chance you manage to end up without one, well, the unit can't have any teams in command distance of a non-existent unit leader, so it's not in good spirits.
So my M4 Sherman platoon has the unit leader here and 1 bailed out here and the rest are destroyed. Since it doesn't have 2 operational tanks, it's not in good spirits. So what do I do now?
This unit must take a last stand test, using its last stand rating if it has one, to see if it's willing to stay and fight. If you don't pass the last stand test, the unit is destroyed as they've fled the battle.
So they have a motivation rating of 4+, but their blood and guts gives them a last stand rating of 3+, so I need a 3 or more. I roll a 2, they fail, bye-bye tanks. What happens to the models that are left on the table?
Well, the destroyed ones stay as wrecks, and the bailed out one becomes the wreck as its crew destroys it before leaving the battlefield, and the surviving one leaves the table as it routs.
Okay, that's my tank platoon gone. What happens next?
Well, you now might have to check formation last stand. This is very similar to unit last stand, except it applies to an entire formation. Once you have performed all your last stand tests for individual units, you need to check whether your formation is in good spirits. A formation in good spirits has at least 2 units, whether on the table or in reserves, one of which can be the formation HQ unit. If after all your unit last stand tests, your formation doesn't meet these requirements, then your formation is destroyed.
And if my formation's destroyed, is that game over?
Well, that depends on whether you have any other formations on the table. If that was your last formation, then yes, you lose. If you have another one, then your remaining formation and support continues fighting.
That's it for the starting step.